What is up, my friends? Hello. I'm going to go over here and find this little bad boy and share it onto my personal profile. Give everybody some time to jump on. I had a hat on all day today, so my hair feels very flat. If you're jumping on, say hi so that I can see that you're here because it's not showing me. Hello, Samantha, you beautiful creature, you. Share to your... How do you do it? Share. Hey, Gara. I don't know how to do this other than... Oh, you shared it too. Aren't you so sweet? Thanks, guys. I'm going to put it on my story. All right. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Sweet. Hey, Dan. What's up, friend? Oh my gosh. You guys are fun. I'm going to put this, make this big, and then... Sweet. Turn the sounds off. Perfect. Yay, guys. What's up? What's up? What's up? I am going to, I have some questions that I have here, and then what I'll do for everyone. Oh, why do you have a mad face on? There was a mad face on. What I'll do is if you have any questions or you have any topics so that's what's always hard when I'm like live Q&A. It's like, you don't have to necessarily have a question, but you could be like, talk about this thing. Insert thing here, right? Like that's definitely also a part of the puzzle. So a huge piece of it. Oh, your mad face. Okay, I'm like so confused. Hi. So if that's a thing and there's like a topic that you're like, hey, I want to hear what you have to say about this, or like, what's going on? How did you do that? Anything, like anything as you're thinking, say the words, here I am. I'll answer the questions. Spring is here. Yes, it is. That's true, Dan. Today was beautiful outside. It's that weird weather in Missouri where it's like the air is cold, like the breeze is cold, but the sun is really warm. And so you're like, what do I wear? I have no idea what to put on. Well, and that's just right now. Like, let's be real. Tomorrow it could be 12 degrees and snow. Who knows what's happening? All the hearts are so beautiful. Are so beautiful. I love it. So those of you who maybe, let's just, have a little intro moment in case you're just randomly popping in or you're new to the page or you see this wherever. So I'm Jamie. Hi. Hello. And I do business and life coaching. So I am an intentional business expert, intentional business lifestyle expert. That's it. That's the phrase, right? So basically what I do is I learned myself that I needed and wanted to do things just a bit different than everybody else. And as a result of feeling kind of confined, not kind of, but very confined by societal and situational restraints, what I was supposed to do and how I was supposed to do it and the rules and all of this stuff that are supposed to apply to all, it just didn't work for me, those constraints. And so I was able to find in the places that those things really weren't real. Like a lot of those stories or those rules are honestly fiction. They're put in place for lots of different reasons, some good, some bad, but we are made to believe that they're all meant for all of us when they're not. And so I created a world and a life and a business outside of that. And it's something that I still actively am doing, right? I still actively am like, wait a minute, where did that rule come from? Whose rule is that? Is that my rule or is that someone else's rule? And a lot of times it's not my rule, it's somebody else's rule, and I have to reel myself in. And I've been glad or happy, what's the word I'm looking for? Grateful, privileged, lovely, I don't know. Anyways, lucky, there you go, enough to now have been able to surround myself with some people who understand that and kind of support and call me on it if they need to, or, understand the mission, I guess you could say. And so that does come with time, I think. Some people do that quickly. I was not one of those people. I did not surround myself with and find that support quickly. Just because like where I'm at and who I was around before, as far as in my job and my business and stuff, that's just not how it worked out for me. So thank God for Tony. So one of the questions is always that people always send me messages about, and it's funny because people will message me questions about Tony. They will never put them public, which I think is fun. And in a way, I respect that, and I'm happy that people do that because for those of you who don't know, my long-term boyfriend used to play professional hockey, and so people think that they know because of that, just like they do with any other, any like a big celebrity or something. People assume that they know things about them when they really don't. Like, you don't know behind closed doors or the inner workings of somebody like you think you may, right? So in that situation and in our lives, I do appreciate when people kind of send things like that privately from time to time, because then no one else can fucking chime in, right? Because other people will try to chime in with what they believe may be the truth, right? But the questions about Tony is, yes, he played professional hockey. What does he do now? He owns a glass installation company. So he was our glass vendor. That's how we met. I actually had nothing to do with hockey. I knew who he was, but like it had nothing to do with hockey. And we met through my job, and the rest is really history. He just was there all the time and asked me out all the time before I finally said yes. But he runs a really successful company, and he's really good because everything for him is about teamwork. Everything for him is about the focus of a team. He approaches everything like a really old school coach would, right? Like a sports coach. And so one of the things that Bobby Plager was famous for saying that Tony speaks regularly is, are you playing for the emblem on the front or the name on the back? And so that's the definition of team. Because you could all stand together and be, did you hear that? That was my puppy snoring like a crazy lady. Anyway, you could all be standing and saying that you're a team, right? Everybody could be saying they're working towards the same goal. But if you're more concerned about how you look and how the name on the back of your jersey shows up, and that's what you're most concerned about is how you look, you're not really playing as a team. That teamwork isn't the same. So when the headspace is for the emblem on the front and you're playing as a blue, you're playing as a blue note, right? You're playing as somebody who bleeds blue, which again is another thing that Bobby Plager taught us all here in the world of hockey and in St. Louis. But when that is your focus, teamwork works different. It's not selfish. It's not just about how good you look. It's about how good the team is. Because when you're working as a team, especially in a lot of businesses, right? Like when you're working as a team, certain players are only as good as the other players, right? Like one of the things that Tony and I, a project we've been working on for a really long time, and it just has been on the back burner, so it's not anywhere close to being published, but it's a book around the concept and how it fits into all of these things of the game in the arena. And it's where what I just described to you about a hockey team is the same concept that you could use in your family, that you could use in your business, in your organization, in your charity, in your purpose, whatever those things are. Like all of that stuff, that same concept and that same scenario and methodology can be used in every arena, right? The arena changes, but the game is the same. That's concept. So it's a really cool concept, and it's something that I'm privileged to be surrounded with, is that kind of headspace. So the way that our world works is that he brings that dynamic, and then I bring the feelings dynamic, and then bringing him back to center dynamic, right? So yeah, that's it. Anybody that's live right now have any questions, be sure to pop them in. Anything you want to know, anything you want to talk about, pop it into the comments. Anybody who watches the replay, FYI, then you can pop your questions in as well, and I will answer you. I will get back to you. So that's the beauty of this. Wherever it is that you watch this back, you can pop those in anywhere. So one of the questions I get the most is like, how did you start doing this? This is a really unique job. How did you start doing this? And the answer is that I knew I had a skill set for solving problems and running businesses. And I figured out how to mesh those things together and be able to create a business where I could help people do the same thing. So my ability, like today, I just I brought in a new client where we're doing a little combination of some business management and some coaching. And I was explaining to him that when I look at a problem or I look at a situation, I just have always had this gift of looking at it from up above and seeing all the moving pieces and the ways that it can all intricately work together. And that's how I'm able to help clients break that shit down in a way that other people maybe aren't able to. And that's not to say I'm better than anyone or not, but it's just a gift that I have. And so knowing that I had this gift for running companies, I had all of this knowledge from running all of these different kinds of businesses over the years, I knew that I could, and this is before I even coached other businesses. Those were just jobs that I worked in before, right? And I'd always become like the right hand to the business owner or the, operations manager. It was just kind of the place that I went. And so knowing all of that, I knew that I had a skill set that I could help people with. And so I created a business that worked in a way that I can help people with that wherever they are in the world. So it wasn't until 3 years ago, that I even had a client in St. Louis. All my clients were all over the world. So that's kind of how that works. So yes, it's possible. That's where, when COVID hit and everybody was on lockdown and a lot of people couldn't go back to their offices, people were like, I don't understand how this virtual world works. And it's like, well, I've been living in it for, 7 years. So I can explain to you how it works, right? It really comes from being able to be a good communicator. That's one of the key moments. How do you make a world that we live in now where there's a lot more things that are virtual and not as much in office? Like, how do you make that work? Well, you make that work by learning to be a really good communicator, to be really clear. And, that skill set that I think is something that we're always learning, it will positively affect every single thing in your life if it's something that you choose to put energy into. If it's something that you don't choose to harness and put energy into, it will negatively affect every area of your life if you're not a good communicator. Like a lot of situations, I sit and I listen, right? And I understand this happens a lot in marriages, in friendships and family. A lot of those instances when I'm listening to a problem or something that has exploded already, right? We've already had a volcano of things. It was such a miscommunication. There was a lack of communication and understanding on many different levels. And so the other piece of it is blame, right? There's no need place blame, like what's happened has happened, but there's an ability to own a situation and kind of see what's going on and ways that we can not do that again, right? Like, how do we not do that again? Well, how do we move and navigate different? I know I did a class recently called the Men's Incubator. You guys might have seen me talk about it. It was for men only. And it was interesting because one of the things that I say a lot that they loved and that all of them went to their partners or some of them were still really trying to learn how to operate more smoothly with their exes, that they still have babies together and stuff, I'm not going to dance like this anymore. It's one of the most powerful things because people are like, whoa, wait. Like, listen, I'm not attacking you for being wrong. I'm not saying this it's just, I'm not going to dance like this anymore. So if you're not willing and able to reapproach the situation with me, then okay, but I'm not doing this anymore, right? So it's a powerful thing. So that's, I think, a big piece of what people probably don't realize when you hire a coach like me or something like that to help you even in one of my spaces and in my groups or programs or anything like that, is it's not just like hey, here's your game plan that you get to go use into the world and rah, do this fucking work. Like, none of that. I mean, yes, you'll walk away with a pretty solid plan and you'll walk away with all of the details and all of the tools that you need, but it's all customized to fit you. And there's a depth to it that is undescribable in a way. Like, I have a hard time putting it into words, how I'm able to describe the depth of the work that I do with people and how I help them get it deeply enrooted into themselves so that they can create the things that they want. Not only can they create the things that they want, but then here's a kicker. Here's a question I get. How do I keep the things that I want? One of the questions, how do I keep the things that I want? Well, you have to do the work inside to be able to figure out what maybe has kept you from doing it before, or what you might be avoiding that's keeping you from holding on to whatever that thing is. What are the patterns? There's a huge piece of pattern recognition that comes into practice there. So that's something, again, that a coach can help you with. But those are the places that I would research. Those are the places I would pay attention in order to figure out what may or may not be the reason that you're not holding on to it, right? Like, that's definitely a piece of the puzzle. Let's see. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. How do you find a team or someone you can actually trust to work for you? Now, this question, I'm going to talk about it in two ways. I'm going to talk about the tale as old as time. How do you find good help? I just can't find good help. And now we are in a weird time right now where a lot of brick and mortar businesses are having a hard time finding people to work. And that's just true. But I'll tell you that this conversation and this question I have right here has been asked to me since before I was running my own company. When I was running other people's companies, this was a question, right? Because sometimes it is hard to find good help. And there's a couple of factors that come into play. I know when I was working in a shop back many, many moons ago, they weren't willing to pay people what they deserve to be paid. They were wanting to pay bottom dollar for a high quality employee. They were wanting to pay bottom dollar for somebody who had a massive amount of experience, and it's just, that doesn't work, right? So they wanted to pay somebody to run the shop like they would pay a receptionist, you know? And it's just not, you have somebody who's got 10 years of management experience and a degree, and it just, there's different levels of experience, right? Now, granted, I was in charge of hiring all the girls in the office, and I did a good job. I fine-tuned them, I guess you could say. But how do you find good help? Well, a lot of it is being willing to understand, first of all, what it is that you need. Like, what is it that you really are looking for? Number one, that has to be clear. Otherwise, you're never going to find somebody to fit, because you have no idea what in the hell it is that you're trying to fit them into, right? Number two, get reasonable about what it is that you're going to pay them. How are you going to treat them? What are you willing and able to pay them, and what is it worth? Here's the deal. I have not been rolling in an abundance of extra money, so much so that I'm just throwing money at my team, right? Just for the fucking sake of it. But guess what? I always pay them because I see the big picture. I know what they allow me to do. I know what they allow me to create. So like in those cases, we work it out, right? We figure it out. And that's something to where when you're thinking about bringing someone in and you're thinking about how am I going to pay them, what should I pay them, but I want them to have these skill sets, right? And maybe you're advertising it at, $15 an hour, and you're getting a bunch of people who are not qualified. Well, then you may need to think about that, right? You need to look at it a little bit differently. And there is a such thing as being realistic too. So, when I was searching for my second assistant, I was looking for someone local at first, and I had hired a girl, and it didn't end up working out. And so the other person on that list that I was like so jazzed about, she was perfect. She was just moving to town, like all of these great things. But I was like, you know what? I need to be really clear. This is what I can start you at, hours and wage. And then this is what we can grow to. What are you open? And she's like, I would love to work for you, but I can't make less than this. And I'm like, amazing. And you're worth that. You're worth that. That's not where I'm at right now. And we went our separate ways, right? But then I was able to work it out and find somebody that fits that. And it was a totally different scenario. And it's like the most perfect experience, right? So that's kind of how it goes. But I wanted to just explain that when people come to me and they're like, I can't find good help, the first place that you should start looking and figuring out why has nothing to do with the other person. It has to start here. So that question will always piss people off. When I answer that, no one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear that answer. Then everyone want to hear me say, well, are you clear? Are you willing to pay them? And then the other steps is, are you willing to work with them? Meaning, you don't just throw someone in a position and they thrive the way that you want them to thrive. That's not how it works. Just like I said before with the communication space, you have to be able to be clear and communicate with what it is that you're wanting, how you're wanting things done, if it has to be a specific way, blah, blah, blah. If you're not willing to spend time and work with someone on that, then you're never going to find the right person, and it's never going to turn into the relationship that can be so rewarding and be so simple, right? So, I have a girl who we just retitled her. She's my executive managing coordinator, something like that. But she has been with me for a very, very, very long time. And the reason that our relationship is what it is because I have invested and she has invested. But I have paid her a lot of money to learn the things that I want her to learn the way that I want her to learn them to work for me, right? And she's been willing. It's been a willing relationship, obviously. And so that's one of the biggest reasons. And we've grown together over the years and it's worked itself out. But I know that I had to pay her a certain amount for her to make, you know what I mean? But I was willing to put in the effort and the time and the long term to really fully be an active part every single day, as well as train her and teach her and guide her and do those things. The other part is it's also not fair that even once you get to a place with an employee that you just walk away from them. Oh yeah, they got it. That's not how it works. Like, we're humans, right? You walk away from them and then you don't check their shit for 6 months, and then one time you check something and it's not right, and then you fucking yell at them about it. It was something that was wrong however many months ago, like communication, blah, 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 right? You have to be a manager. So again, that's why, as you can see, this is a question that a lot of people get mad at my answer. They don't like what I have to say, but it's right and it's true, and nobody talks about it. When it comes to one of the most valuable things you can invest in as a business owner is learning how to be a good manager. End of story. And if you have customers or clients, then being a good manager allows you to be good for them as well. So it's a win-win-win all the way around. Absolutely. So that's definitely a question. Off of here, let's see. What else do we get? Oh, why don't I have a group on social media anymore? That's a quick answer, really, because I don't want to bore you, but also, so I have a coaching group. You guys know this. It's been alive for many, many years, and it used to live on Facebook like everybody else's, right? There's a whole lot of people. Everybody has Facebook groups, and you can pay to have access to these trainings, and you go to Facebook Lives, and it's whatever. Well, if you know anything about what I do in my business, it's called intentional living. It's the wheel of intentional living. And in the wheel of intentional living, the whole point is intention. I don't want people to do things by chance. I want them to be able to create habits that change them and that create lasting change. And so the way that we do that is through small incremental shifts. And one of those shifts is along the lines of creating intention, meaning doing things on purpose, right? Not just, oh, I happen to run across this. And so that's what happens on social media. You open social media, which can be a black hole, right? It can be a time suck, right? And so you open social media and you just happen to see a notification from me, from my coaching group that you're paying to be a part of, to learn how to be more intentional. And that's the only time that you show up inside that group. It's defeating the purpose for me. There's a lot of noise on social media that's distracting, defeating the purpose for what I'm trying to teach my clients. And so I moved, I wish Tiffany was here. It was probably like a year and a half ago, something like that. I moved everything off of this platform on purpose for that reason, and because I like to own my things. So if I'm going to build a library of over 400 training videos, I want it to be in a place that I own. So we have an app, we have a network that's separate. So when you sign up for my coaching group, it is its own thing. Now, granted, you can turn notifications on so you don't forget. You can turn on reminders, those types of deals. But when you open that app, it's not distracting. There's no, Sally down the streets, dog had puppies, like that shit's not coming up on your feed, and you're not just happen to maybe see that there's a thing. You're creating the habit of every Thursday you get on there for a live, right? For a live stream training. Every Sunday you're doing your planning. Every Monday you're going in and adding, like letting us know what's going on. When you have something to share, you're opening that group to share intentionally, right? It's on purpose. It's with purpose, which is the entire point. And if we learned that by putting intention and purpose behind our behaviors, it ingrains them more and makes them actually be more in flow. If we would learn that as like a collective, everybody's life would be so different. It would be less of this constant struggle scratching to try to get to the surface if we realized how powerful putting purpose and presence into a thing is and can be. So that is why the group is no longer on social media. It's on its own platform. It's actually pretty fucking cool. Y'all should try it out if you want. That group is $98 a month. You can come and go as you please. I do tell people that they should try to commit for at least 3 months if they can, because that's the time frame to make really good lasting change. But obviously you can do what you want. But you come in, you get 4 live trainings, new trainings every month. You get direct access to me as a coach. And then you have a library of over 400 videos, as well as a community of people. When I say a library of over 400 videos, there's a question about that too. Basically, it is searchable. Like there's all of these topics, which the topics are mindset and motivation, health and wellness, connections, which is your relationships, business and leadership, spirituality, and planning. So in those topics, you can go pick a topic and you can just scroll through and there's a ton of trainings, or you can go into the little search bar and you can type in a keyword and trainings on that keyword can show up. So if you're wanting to like learn about mindset or diet or meditation or mindfulness practice or whatever it is, monthly planning, like all this stuff, like there's all these training options, and there's when I say trainings, they're videos, so that you could put them on and listen. You could sit down and watch them. Like, you could watch one every single day for over a year, right? Like, and that all comes with the membership. So yes, thanks, Kara. I love it too. It actually, I mean, it's just a part of my life at this point, right? Like, it's just something on Thursdays. That's what I do. Like, I expect people to know Thursdays at noon. Like, don't you know where I am? Duh. So no, I thank you for saying that. I do love it there a lot. So yeah, that's part of the question too. Like, what are the trainings? That's what they are. Yeah, weekly accountability is fun. Like, that's fun for me. I love people just, sometimes they'll just pop in a sentence, and then sometimes there's a whole, you know, I obviously have things to say and I need somebody to hear me that's not in my immediate circle, you know, like, so it's definitely valuable in that stance for sure. It definitely helps a lot. A couple quick questions I guess that I could get is, how long have I been, or do I have a coach, and how long have I worked with a coach? There's always a lot of questions I feel like that I get from people about what I do for coaching. And I hired my first coach about 6 years ago, probably. Something like that. I could look specifically, but about 6 years ago, I would say. Maybe 7 at this point. But Susie Robbins was my first coach. Now I don't think she does just business coaching, but she was a business coach then. She has a huge background in media and marketing, and she had built her own online business. And so I worked with her for a couple of years, actually. I had a couple of other little people, like programs and things I would do with other people at the same time, but she was my first coach. I've worked with a lot of coaches over the years, and spent well over $250,000 probably, maybe more, 300 if I was to sit down, yeah, in coaching over the past 6 years. Yeah, and that doesn't even include my personal trainers for fitness, but I could include that. So then I probably would be closer to that 300,000. And here's why. Do I think that everybody should have to do that? No, but I think that having a coach in your corner that is able to not only have your back, but also hold you accountable, but also teach you and help you look and stretch outside of what you know about yourself is so valuable. And so over the years, I've had multiple coaches at the same time for these reasons. Here's another reason. People are like, do you have multiple coaches? Like, why? And I'm like, well, I have multiple coaches, and I've joked about this because I don't know anybody else who does what I do. So for me to find everything in one place, I've had a hard time. I kind of do a little bit of everything. So a lot of my clients, they don't really have more than one coach because I kind of do a bit of it all. They want to talk about accounting, I got them. They want to talk about marketing, I got them. Mindset, I got them. Relationships, I got them. Business growth, I got them. Management, I got them. Structures, I got them. Wellness, health, diets, got them. Spirituality, got it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of am a well-rounded person, and maybe I'm just insane and just keep, learning all the things for whatever reason. But I have a few coaches for different things. And so for the past couple of years, I guess it's been about 1.5 years now, or a little over a year maybe, I've worked with a coach in an apprenticeship, and she specifically has been helping me learn things about my body and heal things within my body and within my endocrine system and my emotions that I didn't know anyone else that could help me with. And then she also is a spiritual leader, and she helps me in that realm as well. So at the same time of having her, I have a coach that I speak to every single week about what's happening in my life, what I'm deciding, what I'm realizing, what I need accountability for. I've worked with Tony Robbins as of recently in a group setting, and then I'm currently working with one of his coaches. So he has a team of coaches underneath of him that you can hire for different various things. And I did Date with Destiny in December. If you guys didn't see me post about that, life-changing. But so I have a results coach that I hired from his team that I work with, specifically at turning up the dial on some of the actions and the daily things that I know I need to be doing, right? So all of the different stuff, I've hired somebody to teach me more about marketing and to hold me accountable through that. I've hired somebody to teach me through how to learn to be more myself all of the time, And then I do have some coaches that do all of it. So, Amanda Francis is a big one that teaches a lot of those things, but Kat specifically, Kat Latorzo, or the Katrina Ruth show, like, she's a really good example of a very well-rounded person who's able to teach you a lot of things. So anyways, like yes, I have a coach. Currently I have 3, technically 4 if we want to count the woman I'm working with on my physiology, which basically we're working on my structure, my muscle structure, supporting my bone structure a different way to try to decrease this pain that I have. But yeah, so yes, I have coaches. That I think every coach should have coaches. I think that it's important. It helps keep us on track. Have there been time frames that I didn't have a coach? Yes. There was a period of time where I couldn't find somebody, to be honest. I had my weekly coach, she's also a counselor and a therapist, so you can call her whenever you want. But yeah, so do I believe in it? 100%. Why? Why do I think so? Do I think it's like, oh, why would you keep spending that money? It's like, bro, as long as I can keep getting better and feeling more clear and doing the things that I'm doing and keep elevating my life, like I can keep elevating the lives of everyone I work with. And that's the point. That's why a lot of my clients work with me for so long. So if you guys don't know this, I have clients that are with me 3, 4, 5 years. And it's because I keep elevating and I keep growing and learning. And as I keep elevating and growing and learning, and they do too, like we just kind of keep going like this together. And so like, why the hell would they not, right? Like they do that in a way where we have a specific mission in mind and it's long-term. We want to create it sustainably. And what they tell me is, why would I want to re-explain all this shit about myself and my business to someone new when you already know, and we're continuing to grow and it keeps helping me, so why would I not just keep doing it, right? So, and also a lot of times they get grandfathered in on pricing when I get price increases, so that's always a good thing for them too, right? They're like, I'll just keep giving you this check for the year, you know, versus leaving and coming back. But I've had people do that too. So anyways, I believe in coaching because I think that it continues to expand your brain, and it also gives you a place to go. It gives you a place to go when everything else is loud. It gives you a place to go when because let's be real, like as much as we love our family and friends, for people who are doing life different and thrive, you know, desiring to do life differently, can feel really lonely because there aren't a ton of people always that get it. And if they do, they're trying to throw their opinions at you. They're trying to, it just doesn't feel good in those cases. So that's why I've always had coach. That's why I have a coach, and I will continue to have a coach. You know, Tony is a business mentor of mine, just as well as my lover, my life partner. But I couldn't talk to him about everything because as much as time as he's invested in learning about my company, because he's such a beautiful man and he believes in me so much, and he's invested so much time and money into learning about coaching and learning about my industry so that he gets it more, which is like all the feelings, right? What a fucking beautiful human. He isn't always able to be the right guy. And so like that is a big mistake a lot of people make, is they think that their partner is going to be their coach or is going to be their one confidant or their one, and that puts a lot of strain on a relationship. It makes it very difficult, you know? It makes it really hard. So yeah. I go talk to him and give him recaps of stuff. But as far as like the gritty ick feelings that come up sometimes, or like the big details and all of that stuff, that's not his job. He has his own job. And I want him to love me. I don't want that to be the only thing we spend our time on, you know? So anyway, that was a very long-winded answer to that question about coaching, about my coaches, who I have as coaches. So yeah, Tony Robbins right now is really where my main focus is, to be honest. Like, my big idea, he's the big vision. His couple of his programs that are a lot of money are going to be next steps for me. So there's he is an amazing one. He's the best of the best. Like as far as coaches go, like hello. So here's what happened with me and Tony Robbins. When I started thinking about it, everything that I'm interested in, everything that I've been like just literally dissolving as much information or like taking in as much information about these specific topics, he's mastered all of them. And he's been doing this for 40 years. He's mastered all of them. So why would I not learn from him? Right? It's the reason I hired my coach, Jessie, is because she took all of these teachings, all of these spiritual teachings from all of these different eras and walks of life and cultures, and she put them all together in one school. I didn't have to go researching all over the place for all of this information. I could just learn it all from one person, right? But with Tony Robbins, it's, he's literally the best of the best. And so I will be doing Leadership Academy or Leadership Mastery with him this summer, which is going to be fucking incredible. And then long-term goal is doing Platinum Partners. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty elite, and you can just Google it. But so yeah, I believe in coaching. I think that if you work with somebody who's a coach and they don't believe in coaching, might be a red flag. So yeah, crazy one, right? Anybody live have any questions to pop in? So this was another question. Why do I, and this is the last one that I have. So do you guys have questions, pop them in, but this is the last one that I have. Why do I talk about planting seeds and the goal setting situation right now, at this time of year? Why do I do that in the spring? Well, there's a few reasons. So, as human beings, historically from the beginning of time, we are very cyclical beings. That's how we're built. We cycle, our bodies naturally cycle with the seasons. Now, granted, of course, the world now lives a little different, and we live by a clock, and we live by you must do these things during these time frames, right? And somewhere along the lines, New Year's resolutions became a thing at the beginning of the year because people, if you read about it, I believe historically speaking, New Year's resolutions became a thing because it was a way to give people hope as they were going into a new year, because people are a lot of people in the deep darkness of winter would back then, right? And would be hopeless because it would feel hopeless because they would be worrying if they were going to have food, people would be dying, because of the elements and things like that. And so they created that for that purpose. But the truth is that our body is not ready yet. Our minds and our body are still hibernating in January. Naturally, our body is still in hibernation mode in that time frame. It's still in the darkness, which is not a bad thing, but that's what it is. That's what it's for. Our body's not ready to prepare yet, because what happens as a person is you plant in the spring. It's when the new energy is. It's when the new things happen. It's when you get excited and you have ideas, and it's a great time to harness that energy naturally within us in the spring. And then in the summer, we are cultivating, right? We are cultivating, and we are nurturing, and we are enjoying the sunshine, and we're having the most fun, and we're doing the most work also, right? We're doing work, but it's fun because the sun's shining and all these things. And then we go into the fall, and the fall is the harvest, which is a lot of work. And if we didn't do a good job in spring and summer, then we don't have a great harvest, right? And so when you're in the harvest time in the fall, and what you're doing is you're preparing for the cold, dark winter where people might die if you don't prepare well, right? So you see how every season feeds together, because then what you want to do is rest and rejuvenate and reflect and learn and hibernate in the winter so that you're ready for the spring again, because you want a successful spring, a successful summer, because it brings a successful harvest. So that is why I believe that this is the best time of year. This is why I also know, it's not just I believe it, I know that this is part of the reason why resolutions don't work. There's a couple of aspects to it. One is that it's not the right time of year to be setting goals in the January, because your body's still sleeping. You're like a bear in hibernation. Number two, the other aspect of that is that we set goals based upon what we think we're supposed to want, what we're supposed to be doing, instead of what it is that we truly do desire, instead of taking the time to think, wait a minute, is that really my goal? Is that really my objective? Or is that what somebody told me I should be doing, or I should be wanting, or I should be whatever? Because if it's not true to you, you're not going to stick to it. End of story. Even if you did stick to it by starting it in the winter months when your body's still in hibernation, if it's not ingrained and it's not truly your desire, you're not going to stick to it. So how do we do that? Well, we can learn to kind of switch around and anchor in the reasoning why, and the understanding of why we want the thing and how it fits into what it is that we, our long-term goal or whatever, and turn it around to be something that we actually do desire, right? Because then when we can anchor it into a feeling, then the likelihood that we're going to stick to it is greater. That's real. That's a thing. And how do we also, when we do that and we know that it's really our desire, the likelihood that we're going to get excited every single day, or even if we have a bad day, the next day we're going to get up again and be excited, is high. So that's where, the planning part comes into practice, or the beauty of deciding and really doing an inventory of what's worked for you and what hasn't, which is like you would do when you're planting. You're going to plant a field or a garden. You're going to do an inventory of what works and what didn't. If you planted a bunch of shit last year and none of it grew, chances are you probably aren't going to plant that again. And if you do, you're going to change some shit. You're going to change your soil. You're going to change your water patterns. You're going to change how you plant. You're going to change blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff. That's how it works, right? So if you have a plan, not just a plan, you need to see what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. What do I really want? What do I not really want? What parts felt icky? What parts didn't? Where did I struggle? Where did I feel invigorated? And by doing and collecting that data, then we're able to actually decide what it is that we desire. And then there's a whole long process that I would talk to you for 2 hours about here, of anchoring that into our system and how we get really clear on it. So it's directed and connected to a purpose, so that when we take all of the actions on our plan for the next however many months, it all feels good and it feels connected and it feels purposeful. And then that's what brings us a successful and satisfying harvest. Yeah, Kara, I just went on a spiel. You can't just you just can't half describe that though, right? Like you have to give the whole description in order to do that. So yes, guys, you're welcome for your free coaching call, because that's what that was. I hope that you took nuggets from that, because that really is ultimately something that I didn't know until the last few years, right? So that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago that I realized, like, wait a minute, something doesn't make sense about the way that we do things with the calendar year. And so by learning that the springtime is really the time to start stretching and getting excited and really taking advantage of that natural, like, yes, spark that we have in the spring, why would you not harness that energy and then be able to devise a plan to like ride that energy wave all of the spring, all of the summer, and through to the harvest of autumn, right? Why would you not? So big. And if you do it right, then you set things up properly to where during the winter, does that mean you just stop doing things? No, but it feels more in flow, and it's all makes more sense, and it's in alignment. So anyways, you guys are great. Thanks for staying and hanging out with me. Thanks for listening. Like I said, anybody who watches the replay, if you have any questions or comments or anything, let us know or let me know, and I'll get back to you for sure. So yeah, it's planting seeds. So I have a workshop that's coming up, and that will be everything I just talked about, as far as the harvest in the spring and the really figuring out your actual desires. It's called the Growth Workshop, Seeds, the Growth Workshop. That happens. Thank you, Dan. That's going to be starting soon. So if you're interested in the information, I'll pop the link in here later on. If you want to, I don't want to take away from the context of this, just, free for all chat either, though it's not, but if that's something that, like, that conversation, you were like, oh damn, I need that, or hey, that really speaks to me, then this workshop would probably be really great for you, because it's going to be really fucking powerful and magical and easy. That's the whole point. It's going to be easy. The delivery is going to be easy. So I'd love to have you there. It's roughly going to be about 12 weeks and fairly small price point for a 12-week program. There's 3 parts to it, like 3 sections, and each section has between 7 to 11 lessons within it. So there'll be 3 live sessions. There'll also be 1 full workshop day together, and you'll have support from me throughout the entire time, and lifetime access to the content, because this content, once you learn how to do it, is something that you can do for yourself over and over and over again each time that you feel the desire to. So that's the beauty of it also. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. It's $217 total, and we also have a payment plan. I'm excited about it too. The idea came out of me literally while I was in a trance state on a massage table. So it was supposed to be birthed into the world for whomever shows up for that. It's for you. Like, it was created out of me as a vessel, as a channel for you. So that is a thing. Operation Do is always a thing. We'd love to have you try it out. Like I talked about before, that is something you sign up for as a membership. You get immediate access to all those things. And then I'm here if you need anything else. If you have any questions about anything, I'm always an open book. Sometimes I'll record a whole fucking podcast episode about the question somebody asks me. That's how we roll. There's lots of free content that I put out there, videos, blog posts, podcasts, things like that as well. If coaching isn't the answer for you right now, or you're just really wanting that place to plug in, that's what I'm here for. That's the mission. Thank you for being here. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That helps us get it in front of more people. And if you think anyone else can benefit from this, please share this over to whomever that is. We appreciate when you do that as well. And I will talk to you guys. Oh yeah, yes, all the trainings are live and interactive. They're on Zoom, so we're talking. Like, you're able to talk to me. It's not just a Facebook Live. It's literally a Zoom call where you can say, hey Jamie, I need to talk about this thing. And I will say, yes, ma'am, sir, tell me all the things. So it's very cool. It's very interactive, very personalized. That's within Operation Do. And it'll be the same on the training calls. It's the same on every training call I ever do for any program I ever do, FYI. Like, it's always live and interactive. It's always going to be personalized. Like, that's just how I roll. If there's a live call aspect, like, it will always have the space to be personalized. It's just something I like to be able to offer for people to take advantage of if they would like to. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to go have some dinner. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.